Amara Okonkwo sat in her corner office on the 40th floor of Okonkwo Towers in Lagos, staring at the 3 missed calls from her best friend Chioma. The city sprawled beneath her like a kingdom she'd built with her own hands. At 38, she was the CEO of Okonkwo Pharmaceuticals, a company worth over 50 billion naira and one of Nigeria's most successful businesswomen. Her phone buzzed again. This time was a text from Chioma. "We need to talk. It's about Danjuma. Please call me back." Amara deleted the message without responding, just like she'd done with the previous 5. She knew what Chioma wanted to discuss. The same thing her other friends, Nkechi and Blessing, had been whispering about for months. Rumors about her husband, Danjuma Bello, and his supposed infidelity. "Mrs. Okonkwo, your 2 p.m. meeting has been canceled," her assistant announced through the intercom. "The Chinese investors won't arrive until tomorrow morning." Amara glanced at her Patek Philippe watch. It was barely noon. For the first time in 3 years, she had an entire afternoon free, a rare occurrence for a woman who typically worked 16-hour days. "Thank you, Kemi. I think I'll head home early today." As her driver navigated through Koi's exclusive streets toward her Victoria Island mansion, Amara's mind wandered to Danjuma. They'd been married for 8 years, together for 10. He was 35, handsome, charming, and had been a struggling architect when they met. She believed in his talent, funded his firm, and watched him flourish. But somewhere along the way, as her pharmaceutical empire expanded across West Africa, the dynamic had shifted. Danjuma had become resentful. She could see in the way he avoided her business events. The snide comments about her never being home, the growing distance in their marriage bed. But infidelity? Her Danjuma? The man who'd written her love letters every morning during their first year of marriage? The mansion's gate swung open. Amara noticed Danjuma's Range Rover parked in its usual spot. Strange. He'd mentioned a site visit in Lekki this afternoon. Perhaps it had been canceled, too. She dismissed her driver and security detail. "Take the rest of the day off. I won't be going out again." The house was unusually quiet. Their cook, Mama Ngozi, was in the kitchen. The gardener wasn't tending the hibiscus flowers. Even the dogs, 2 massive Borbos, were nowhere to be seen. Amara climbed the curved marble staircase, her Louboutin heels clicking softly against the stone. She was halfway to the master bedroom when she heard it, a sound that made her blood run cold. Laughter, female laughter, coming from her bedroom. Then Danjuma's voice, low and intimate. "You're so much better than her. She's always too tired, too busy. But you actually see me." Amara's hand gripped the banister. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This couldn't be happening. Not in her house. Not in her bedroom. She pushed the door open. The scene before her seemed to unfold in slow motion. Danjuma, her husband of 8 years, was on their bed, the custom-made Italian bed she'd imported for their 5th anniversary. And in his arms was Zainab, their 24-year-old housemaid, the girl she'd hired 6 months ago out of compassion, when she'd heard about her struggling family in Kaduna. They hadn't heard her enter. Danjuma's hand was tangled in Zainab's long braids, his lips on her neck. The maid's uniform was discarded on the floor alongside his shirt. "Well," Amar's voice cut through the room like a blade. "My friends were right." Danjuma jerked away from Zainab so violently he nearly fell off the bed, his face drained of color. "Amara, this isn't what?" Amara's voice was eerily calm, a stillness before a storm. "Isn't you in our bed with a help?" Isn't exactly what Chioma, Nkechi, and Blessing had been trying to tell me for months. Zainab scrambled to cover herself with a bedsheet, tears already streaming down her face. "Ma, please, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean—" "Get out." Amara's eyes remained fixed on her husband. "Pack your things and get out of my house. You have 10 minutes before I call security." The maid fled, clutching her uniform to her chest. The door slammed behind her, leaving Amara alone with her husband. Danjuma stood, reaching for his shirt with shaking hands. "Amara, please, let me explain. This was a mistake. It meant nothing." "How long?" She cut him off. "What? How long have you Been sleeping with my maid. Danjuma's silence was answer enough. Amara laughed, but there was no humor in it. You know what the funny part is? I actually defended you. When Chioma showed me photos of you having lunch with strange women, I said they were clients. When Blessing saw you checking into a hotel in Abuja, I said it was a business trip. When Kechi told me she saw our maid wear my missing diamond earrings, I thought she was mistaken. She walked to their walk-in closet and emerged with a Louis Vuitton suitcase. Throwing at his feet. Pack. You have 20 minutes to take what you need. Everything else we'll discuss through lawyers. Amara, don't do this. Let's talk about this like adults. Adults? Her composure finally cracked. You want to talk about being adults? Adults don't betray their marriage vows. Adults don't sleep with the help in the bed their wife paid for, in the house their wife built. Danjuma's face hardened. There was the resentment she'd sensed but ignored. That's right. Throw your money in my face. Everything is always about what you built, what you paid for. Do you know what it's like being Mr. Amara Okonkwo? Living in your shadow? Using your money? Then you should have divorced me before sleeping with someone else. Amara's voice rose for the first time. You should have been man enough to leave, instead of sneaking around like a coward. Maybe I would have if you'd ever been home long enough to have that conversation. The words hung in the air between them. 8 years of resentment, ambition, and growing distance crystallized in that moment. Amara's phone buzzed. A text from her head of security. Ma, the maid tried to leave with several pieces of your jewelry. We've detained her at the gate. What should we do? A cold smile crossed Amara's face. So it wasn't just my husband she was taking from me. She looked at Danjuma, really looked at him, and saw him clearly for the first time in years. Not the man she'd fallen in love with, not the struggling architect she believed in, but a weak, resentful man who'd chosen the easiest path to feel powerful again. Get out, she said quietly. And Danjuma, you have no idea what you've just done. No idea who you betrayed. As he packed his things in silence, Amara made a call. Chioma, you were right. About everything. And I need your help. It's time to remind my husband exactly who he married, and exactly what it cost to cross me. What do you think Amara will do next? Will she forgive Danjuma or make him pay? Drop your predictions in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next chapter, where Amara's revenge plan begins to unfold. Hit that notification bell, so you don't miss what happens next. Amara sat in Chioma's penthouse apartment in Banana Island, nursing a glass of wine she hadn't touched. Around her sat her 3 closest friends, the women she should have listened to months ago. Chioma, a high-powered lawyer, pulled out a thick folder. I'm sorry it came to this, Amara, but now that you're ready to face the truth, there's more you need to know. More. Amara's voice was hollow. What could be worse than finding him in our bed with a maid? Nkechi, an investigative journalist, exchanged glances with Blessing, who owned a chain of luxury hotels. The affair with Zainab? Nkechi began carefully. That's just the tip of the iceberg. She spread photographs across the coffee table. Danjuma at different hotels. Danjuma with different women. Danjuma at restaurant Amara had never visited with him. The date spanned back 2 years. I started documenting when I first got suspicious, Nkechi explained. I want to be sure before I brought this to you. Amara's hands trembled as she picked up each photo. Her husband's face smiled back at her, happy in ways she hadn't seen him in years, with other women. There's something else, Blessing said quietly. Last month, Danjuma made a reservation at my hotel in Abuja. Presidential suite. 3 nights. He paid cash, probably so it wouldn't show up on your credit card statements. Who was he with? Blessing hesitated. Your cousin, Halima. The wine glass slipped from Amara's fingers, shattering on the marble floor. Halima? My own cousin. Chioma nodded grimly. We wanted to verify before telling you. That's why I've been calling so persistently. Amara stood abruptly, pacing the room like a caged lioness. Halima, the girl she'd practically raised after her parents died. The cousin she'd sent to university in London. The family member she'd given a job managing one of her pharmaceutical distribution centers. How long? At least 6 months with Halima, Nkechi confirmed. But Amara, there's more. Danjuma's architectural firm, the one you funded, has been losing money for the past year. That's impossible. He shows me quarterly reports. The firm is thriving. Chioma opened her folder. These are the real financial statements. I had a forensic accountant friend examine them. Danjuma's firm is hemorrhaging money. Failed projects, missed deadlines, unsatisfied clients. He's been cooking the books, he shows you. So, where's the money going that I've been investing? The three women exchanged uncomfortable looks. We think he's been funneling it offshore, Chioma said. We found evidence of accounts in the Cayman Islands. Accounts open in the last 18 months. Amara felt the room spin. This wasn't just infidelity. This was systematic deception, financial fraud. How much has he taken? We estimate around 200 million naira so far. Maybe more. 200 million. Amara had built her pharmaceutical empire from nothing, working 18-hour days, sacrificing everything. And he'd been stealing from her, while sleeping with her maid, her cousin, and God knows who else. There's one more thing, Nkechi said hesitantly. Yesterday, I followed Danjuma to a jeweler in Victoria Island. He bought a 15 million naira engagement ring. He's already married, Amara said numbly. Exactly, which means he's planning to propose to someone. And given the pattern of behavior, I'd guess it's Halima. The pieces clicked into place. Danjuma wasn't just having affairs. He was planning to leave her, but not before stealing enough money to set himself up with her own cousin. Amara's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You should know the truth about your perfect husband. Check his email password, your name backwards. Read the folder labeled New Life. Who sent this? Amara showed her friends. Could be anyone, Chioma said. Maybe someone who works for him? Someone with a conscience. Amara pulled out her laptop and logged into Danjuma's email using the password. It worked. Inside was a folder that made her blood run cold. Emails between Danjuma and Halima detailing their plans. How they'd run away together once he'd secured enough of the old woman's money. How Halima was already 3 months pregnant with his child. How they laughed about Amara being too busy building her empire to notice her own husband leaving. There were other emails, too, to lawyers, discussing divorce strategies to maximize the settlement, to property agents in Dubai, looking at luxury apartments, to financial advisors about moving money undetected. One email in particular caught her attention. It was to a contact named Dr. Obi. You think she suspects anything? The plan needs to work perfectly. Once she's gone, everything she built becomes ours. Just make sure the medication adjustment happens gradually. We can't have anyone getting suspicious. Amara's blood went cold. What medication? Chioma grabbed the laptop, reading quickly. Her face went pale. Amara, when did you start taking those supplements Danjuma brings you? The ones he says are vitamins. About 6 months ago. He said they'd help with my stress and fatigue. Why? These emails suggest he's been poisoning you. Blessing whispered, her hand over her mouth, slowly, making you sick. Amara thought back to the past 6 months. The increasing fatigue, the dizzy spells, the moments of confusion she'd attributed to overwork, the doctor's visits where they could never quite identify what was wrong. He's trying to kill me, she said, the words sounding surreal even as she spoke them. My own husband is trying to kill me. Nkechi was already on her phone. I'm calling my contact at the police. No. Amara's voice was steel. Not yet. Amara, this is attempted murder, and we'll report it. But not yet. Amara's mind was already working, calculating, planning. If we go to police now, he'll lawyer up on my money, create doubt, drag this through courts for years. No, I want everything. I want him exposed, ruined, and behind bars. And I want Halima right there with him. She looked at her 3 friends. I need each of you to help me. Chioma, I need you to secretly freeze all assets and accounts he has access to. Can you do that legally? I can file emergency injunctions citing financial irregularities. It'll buy us time. Nkechi, I need you to document everything. Every affair, every stolen naira, every piece of evidence. Make it airtight. Consider it done. Blessing, I need you to help me stage something. Danjuma thinks I'm weak, distracted, easy to manipulate. Let's prove him wrong. Amara stood, her earlier devastation transforming into cold determination. My husband wants to play games with my life, my money, my family? Fine, but he's forgotten something crucial. What's that? Chioma asked. I didn't build a billion naira empire by being soft. I built it by being smarter, tougher, and more ruthless than everyone who underestimated me, including him. She pulled out her phone and made a call. Halima, it's your cousin. I need to see you tomorrow. There's a business opportunity we want to discuss. Something that could make you very rich. Yes, bring Danjuma if you'd like. I insist, actually, lunch at my house, 1 p.m. I have a surprise for both of you. She hung up, a cold smile on her face. What are you planning? Blessing asked. To give them exactly what they want. Almost. They want my money, my empire, my life. Tomorrow, I'm going to serve it to them on a silver platter. And then I'm going to watch their faces when they realize it's all poisoned. Amar's revenge is about to begin. What do you think she has planned for Danjuma and Halima? Drop your theories in comments. Smash that like button if you're Team Amara. Subscribe for next chapter where the trap is set and Amara shows why you should never betray a billionaire. Turn on notifications because this story is about to get intense. Amara stood in her home office at 6 a.m., watching the sunrise paint Legos in shades of gold. She hadn't slept. Instead, she'd spent the night finalizing the most important business plan of her life, the complete destruction of everyone who betrayed her. Her phone rang. It was Marcus Chun, her head of security and a former intelligence officer. It's done, ma'am. We've collected samples of all the supplements he's been giving you. My contact at the lab will have results by noon. And the surveillance? Every room in your house is now equipped with hidden cameras and audio. Everything that happens during today's lunch will be documented in 4K. Perfect. Remember, Marcus, no one intervenes no matter what you see or hear. I need them to incriminate themselves completely. After hanging up, Amara went through her morning routine with mechanical precision. Shower. The red Valentino dress that made her look both powerful and vulnerable. Her mother's diamond necklace, the last gift her father had given before he died, before she built everything from nothing. By noon, the lab results arrived. The supplements contained gradually increasing doses of arsenic and a compound designed to mimic symptoms of heart disease, enough to kill her slowly over the next few months. Danjuma hadn't just planned to leave her. He planned to become a grieving widower inheriting her empire. The rage that filled Amara was ice-cold and calculating. At 12:45 p.m., her staff had prepared an elaborate lunch spread. Jollof rice, pepper soup, siya, grilled fish, and plantains. Amara had given them the afternoon off, claiming she wanted a private family meeting. They'd left reluctantly, sensing something was wrong with their usually warm employer's cold demeanor. The doorbell rang at exactly 1 p.m. Halima walked in first, her designer bag, one Amara had bought her, swinging from her shoulder. She wore a form-fitting dress that emphasized a small bump Amara now understood was Danjuma's child. Her cousin had the audacity to smile warmly. Cousin Amara, it's so good to see you. You've been so busy lately. Danjuma followed, his expression carefully neutral. He'd moved into a hotel after she'd thrown him out 3 days ago, but she'd made no legal moves yet. Let him think she was weak, devastated, hesitating. Come in, both of you. Sit. Let's eat first, then we'll discuss business. They settled in the dining room, the same room where Amara had hosted countless charity dinners, business meetings, family gatherings. Now it felt like a stage set for a very different kind of performance. So what's this business opportunity? Halima asked, serving herself generous portions. Her greed was almost amusing, all in good time. First, tell me how you've been, cousin. You're glowing. Must be something good happening in your life. Halima's hand unconsciously moved to her stomach before she caught herself. Oh, just working hard at the distribution center. Your business has been keeping me busy. My business? Amara repeated softly. Yes, let's talk about my business. Danjuma, your firm has been doing well too, hasn't it? Her husband shifted uncomfortably. It has its challenges, but we're managing. Challenges. Yes. I imagine maintaining multiple households is expensive. Hotels aren't cheap, are they? The temperature in the room dropped. Danjuma's face paled slightly. I don't know what you mean. Don't you? Amara's voice was silk over steel. She pulled out a remote and turned on the television mounted on the wall. Let me refresh your memory. The screen filled with photographs. Danjuma and Halima checking into Blessing's Hotel in Abuja. Danjuma with various women across Lagos. Bank transfers. Email exchanges. The engagement ring purchase. Halima dropped her fork, the clatter echoing in the silent room. Amara, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain sleeping with your cousin's husband? Getting pregnant with his child? Planning to steal my company? Please, I'm dying to hear this explanation. And I do mean dying. She stood, pulling out a small bottle from her pocket and placing it on the table. Recognize these, Danjuma? Your special supplements? The ones you've been so concerned about me taking? His face went ash-gray. Arsenic. Amara continued conversationally. Clever, really. Slow acting. Symptoms that could be mistaken for natural illness, especially in a workaholic woman under constant stress. How long did Dr. Obi say it would take? 6 months? 8. Amara, please. Danjuma stood, his hands raised. Sit down. Her voice cracked like a whip. You don't get to speak yet. Not until I'm done. She turned to Halima. You, the girl I raised after your parents died, the cousin I sent to university, gave a career, treated like a sister. You're carrying his child and planning to take everything I built. Tears streamed down Halima's face. I loved him. You were never home, never cared about him. So you decided to help him kill me? Because that's what this is. Conspiracy to commit murder, and fraud, and theft. The question is, did you know about the poison, or were you just planning to steal my company after I mysteriously died? Halima's silence was damning. Both of you, Amara said, her voice eerily calm. Both of you thought I was so blind, so weak, so absorbed in my work that I'd never notice. You thought my money made me stupid. Danjuma found his voice, and with it his resentment. You're not innocent in this. Amara, you chose your company over our marriage. Every single day, you chose business over me. I was drowning in your shadow. So you decided to poison me instead of divorcing me like an adult? I built you. He was shouting now, all pretense gone. Your first pharmaceutical plant? I designed it. Your distribution network? My architectural plans. Everything you have, you built on my foundation, and you've treated me like some kept man. You were a kept man. I funded everything. And instead of being grateful, instead of being a partner, you decided to literally kill me and take it all. The room crackled with years of resentment, erupting like a volcano. You know what the worst part is? Amara continued. If you just asked for a divorce, I would have given you a fair settlement. Millions. Enough to start over. Build your own empire. Prove you were more than Mr. Amara Okonkwo. But you got greedy. You got entitled. And you got sloppy. She pulled out her phone and played a recording. Their voices filled the room. Danjuma and Halima discussing the poisoning plan, laughing about Amara being too stupid to notice. That recording, along with the others, the financial evidence, the lab reports, and the testimonies from my friends, will be delivered to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in exactly, she checked her watch, 15 minutes. Unless what? Danjuma's voice was desperate now. Unless you sign these. Chioma emerged from the hallway, where she'd been waiting, carrying documents. Complete confession of attempted murder, fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Sign them, and I'll consider not pressing criminal charges. Refuse, and you'll both spend the next 20 years in prison." "You can't do this," Halima started. Tense. "I can and I am. You have two choices. Sign the confessions. Give up any claim to my assets. Disappear from my life forever, or go to prison. You have 60 seconds to decide." Danjuma's hands shook as he reached for the pen. "If I sign this, what happens to us?" "You get to live. Broke, disgraced, but alive. You have nothing. You are nothing. And every day for the rest of your miserable life, you'll remember that you had everything. A woman who loved you, an empire to share a future, and you threw it away for greed." He signed. Then Halima, her tears dropping onto the paper. "Get out," Amara said quietly. "Both of you. I never want to see either of you again. And know this, every business contact I have, every social circle, every door that was open to you because of me, closed. You're both dead to me and to everyone who matters in this city." As they walked out, broken and defeated, Amara felt no triumph, just cold, hard satisfaction that justice had been served. Marcus appeared in the doorway. "The EFCC officials are here, ma'am, as requested." "Show them in. They'll want copies of everything, the confessions, the evidence, all of it. I want them investigated anyway. Confessions or not, they don't get to walk away clean. Justice. But is this the end of Amara's revenge? Or is there more coming? What do you think happens next? Comment below. Like this video if you think Amara handled this like a boss. Subscribe for next chapter where the real consequences begin, and Amara discovers there's an even bigger conspiracy. This story keeps getting more intense. 2 weeks after the confrontation, Amara sat in a secure conference room with Chief Superintendent Adewumi of the EFCC and her lawyer, Chioma. What had started as a case of marital infidelity and attempted murder had exploded into something far bigger and more sinister. "Mrs. Okonkwo," Chief Adewumi said, spreading documents across the table. "When you brought us this case, we thought it was straightforward domestic fraud. But what we've uncovered," he paused, his expression grave. "You're lucky to be alive. I already know about the poisoning. This goes far beyond your husband. We've been investigating for 2 weeks, and we've discovered a sophisticated criminal network operating across West Africa. Your husband was just one participant." Amara's blood chilled. "What are you talking about?" Chioma pulled up a presentation on her laptop. "Remember Dr. Obi, the one Danjuma mentioned in his emails? We found him. He's not just a doctor. He's part of an organization that targets wealthy women across Nigeria, Ghana, and Côte d'Ivoire. The screen showed photographs of at least a dozen women, all successful, all dead under mysterious circumstances in the past 5 years. These women, Chief Adewumi explained, all died of apparent natural causes. Heart attacks, sudden illness, accidents. But when we exhumed 3 bodies and ran advanced toxicology tests, we found the same poison that was being given to you." Amara felt sick. "How many?" 17 that we know of so far. Possibly more. The pattern is consistent. Successful businesswomen, entrepreneurs, inheritors of family wealth. They're targeted by men who romance them, marry them, and slowly kill them while systematically stealing their assets. Danjuma is part of this organization. We believe he was recruited about 2 years ago, shortly before your relationship started deteriorating. The organization identifies men who are married to wealthy women and feeling emasculated or resentful. They're trained, given resources, and promise a cut of the stolen assets. Chioma pulled up more evidence. The organization operates like a business. They have lawyers who help move money offshore, doctors who provide untraceable poisons, fixers who clean up evidence. It's sophisticated, international, and has been operating for at least a decade. But we caught them because of you, Chief Adewumi said. Your decision to document everything, to involve professionals instead of confronting them emotionally, it gave us the break we needed. Where's Danjuma now? In custody, along with Dr. Obi and 3 other members we've identified. But the leaders are still out there. We need your help to catch them. What kind of help? Chief Adewumi leaned forward. The organization doesn't know we're on to them yet. As far as they're concerned, Danjuma just had a domestic dispute. They're reaching out to him, trying to make contact, concerned that he might talk. You want me to help you catch them. We want you to become bait again, but this time with full protection and legal authority. Amara should have been terrified. Instead, she felt a cold fury. 17 women. 17 families destroyed. How many others hadn't been found yet? What do you need from me? Over the next hour, they outlined the plan. Amara would appear to be reconciling with Danjuma, making it seem like she'd been convinced the poisoning was a misunderstanding. She'd attend a marriage counseling retreat in Abuja that was actually run by the organization, a place where they vetted potential victims and recruited desperate husbands. It's dangerous, Chioma warned. These people have killed before. I know, but if I don't do this, they'll just find other women, other families. There's something else you should know, Chief Adewumi said, his expression uncomfortable, about your cousin Halima. What about her? She wasn't just having an affair with Danjuma. She was the one who introduced him to the organization. She's a recruiter. The room spun. Halima? She's done this twice before. Identified wealthy female relatives. Introduced them to charming men. Helped facilitate the relationships. Then watched as those men slowly killed them. Her cut was typically 20% of the stolen assets. Amara's hands clenched into fists. My own blood relative. How could she? We found her correspondence with the organization's leaders. She specifically targeted you because of your pharmaceutical company. They wanted access to your drug manufacturing facilities and distribution networks. This wasn't just about money. It was about expanding their criminal operations. Where is she now? House arrest. Cooperating with us in exchange for a reduced sentence. She's given us names, operations, methods. But the leaders, they're careful. They never expose themselves directly. Amara stood and walked to the window, looking out at Lagos. Somewhere in this city, possibly in this very neighborhood, were the people who'd orchestrated the murder of at least 17 women, who'd turned vulnerable men into killers, who'd weaponized love itself. When do we start? She asked. 3 days later, Amara sat across from Danjuma in a maximum security prison. He looked terrible, thin, unshaven, haunted. For a moment, she almost felt pity. Almost. Amara, thank you for coming. Don't. I'm not here for you. I'm here because the EFCC asked me to be. She explained the plan, watching his face as he realized the scope of what he'd gotten involved in. I didn't know, he whispered. I swear I didn't know about the other women. They told me it was just a way to get what I deserved. What we deserved after you'd emasculated me for so long. So you admit it. You felt entitled to my death because your ego was bruised. I was angry. You were never home, never present, never. Never died on schedule? Amara's voice was ice. Listen carefully, Danjuma. You're going to prison for a very long time. The question is whether you spend that time as a cooperating witness who helped bring down a murder-for-hire organization or as an accomplice to 17 murders. Your choice. Over the next hour, Danjuma told her everything. How he'd been approached at a business networking event by a man who seemed to understand his frustrations. How they'd bonded over drinks, complaining about successful wives who didn't appreciate their husbands. How the conversation had gradually shifted to, what if there's a way to get what you deserve? The organization was called the Brotherhood of Restoration. The name itself was manipulation, making murder sound like justice, making theft sound like reclaiming stolen honor. They promised me everything, Danjuma said, tears streaming down his face. Half your company, enough money to start over, respect. All I had to do was follow their instructions. Add a little powder to your supplements. Encourage you to work harder, stress more. Make myself scarce so you be isolated. They said it would be painless, that you just drift off in your sleep in a few months. Did you even love me? Ever? The question hung between them. Danjuma's silence was answer enough. The retreat, Amara said, steering the conversation back to business. How does it work? It's in Abuja, disguised as a luxury marriage counseling center called the Renewal Foundation. Couples come for intensive therapy sessions. But really, It's where they assess potential targets and train the husbands. If you're wealthy enough, vulnerable enough, they start the process. Who runs it? I don't know. I only ever dealt with intermediaries. But there's someone called the chairman. That's all I know. Amara left the prison with everything she needed. The location, the methods, the recruitment process. She was about to walk into the lion's den. That night, in her empty mansion, Amara prepared for the most dangerous performance of her life. Marcus briefed her on security protocols. We'll have agents posing as staff at the retreat. Cameras in your room. Panic button disguised as a wedding ring. At any sign of danger, we extract you immediately. What about the other couples who'll be there? The real victims? We can't move until we identify the chairman. If we raid too early, the leaders disappear and rebuild somewhere else. We need to catch them all. Amar understood the logic, but it still felt wrong. Every day they waited was another day the organization could target someone new. Chioma arrived with final documents. I've created a fake reconciliation agreement that makes it look like you're willing to give Danjuma another chance. We've leaked it to the right channels. If Alima is still reporting to them, they'll know. Good. Let them think I'm foolish enough to forgive attempted murder. Amara, Chioma's voice softened. You don't have to do this. Let the EFCC handle it with other agents. No, this is personal now. They targeted me, used my own husband, corrupted my family, and 17 other women are dead. I'm seeing this through. For days later, Amara and Danjuma, escorted from prison for this operation, arrive at the Renewal Foundation in Abuja's exclusive Maitama district. The facility was beautiful, all modern architecture and manicured gardens, looking every bit like a luxury wellness resort. A woman in her 50s greeted them, elegant in traditional Iro and Buba. Welcome. I'm Dr. Yemi, the director. We're so pleased you've chosen to rebuild your marriage here. Her smile was warm, professional, completely convincing. Amara felt chills. This woman could be the one who orchestrated 17 murders, and she looked like someone's kind aunt. They were shown to a luxurious suite. As soon as the door closed, Danjuma collapsed on the sofa, head in his hands. I can't do this. I can't pretend. You don't have a choice, Amara said coldly. And neither do I. So play your part or spend the rest of your life in prison. That evening, they joined other couples for a welcome dinner. Amara counted 6 other pairs. She studied each woman carefully. Which one was a target? Who was here genuinely seeking help? And who was about to be murdered? One woman caught her attention. Ngozi Okoro, owner of a successful tech startup. Her husband, Michael, was attentive, but something in his eyes reminded Amara of Danjuma's calculated affection. The way he touched Ngozi seemed performative, rehearsed. During dinner, Dr. Yemi made a toast. To new beginnings, to restored bonds, to the strength of marriage. Amara raised her glass, playing the role of hopeful wife while her eyes scanned the room for cameras, exits, anything suspicious. Later, in their suite, she found the first clue. A small camera hidden in the smoke detector. Not the EFCC's. This one was older, sophisticated. They were being watched by the organization. Marcus's voice came through her earpiece. We see it. Don't react. They're observing all the couples, probably selecting their next targets. Over the next 3 days, Amara attended therapy sessions, couples workshops, and private counseling. Dr. Yemi was skilled, drawing out personal information about finances, family structures, business operations, all under the guise of healing. On the 4th night, everything changed. Amara woke to voices outside her door. She recognized one. Halima. I told you she'd fall for it, her cousin was saying. Amara always thinks she's the smartest person in the room. Makes it easy to manipulate her. Good work. An unfamiliar male voice responded. The chairman will be pleased, but we need to move faster. She's too smart to stay fooled for long. What about the Okoro woman? Already in progress. Her husband's been excellent. Another month and she'll be gone. Amara's blood ran cold. They were actively killing Ngozi right now, while she was here pretending to reconcile with Danjuma. She reached for her panic button, but a hand clamped over her mouth from behind. "Don't scream," Danjuma whispered. "It's me. We need to get out. Now. Something's wrong. They know." He pulled her toward the balcony, but before they reached it, the suite door burst open. 5 men entered, led by someone who made Amara's heart stop, her business mentor, her father's oldest friend, the man who'd advised her for 15 years, Chief Emeka Nwankwo. "Hello, Amara," he said with a grandfatherly smile that now looked sinister. "I'm afraid your little investigation ends here." The chairman revealed, "But how will Amara escape? Is this the end for our billionaire heroine? Drop your predictions in the comments. Like if this twist shocked you. Subscribe and don't miss the final chapter, where everything comes to an explosive conclusion. Who will survive and who will fall? You won't want to miss this." "Chief Emeka," Amara's voice was steady despite her racing heart. "You're the chairman. I prefer to think of myself as a businessman. Your father understood that. God rest his soul. He knew that power and wealth sometimes require difficult decisions. My father would never have been part of this." "Your father?" Chief Emeka laughed, settling into an armchair as his men blocked the exits. "Who do you think started this organization? Why do you think he left you such a vast pharmaceutical empire? The manufacturing facilities, the distribution networks, they weren't built on ethical business practices alone." The words hit Amara like a physical blow. "You're lying." "Am I?" Ask yourself, Amara, how does a single man build a billion-naira pharmaceutical company in 10 years in Nigeria? Where did the initial capital come from? The connections? The protection from government interference? He pulled out a folder, tossing it to her. Inside were documents, her father's handwriting, financial records, photographs, evidence of a criminal empire built on insurance fraud, counterfeit medications, and yes, strategically eliminated business rivals. "Your father was a genius," Chief Emeka continued. "He understood that in this country, nice men stay poor. Strong men take what they deserve. And when he died suddenly, well, some said it was divine justice. Others knew the truth. You killed my father. He wanted to go legitimate. Thought his daughter should inherit a clean business. Foolish sentiment. So, yes, I helped him to an early retirement. And I've been waiting ever since for the right moment to reclaim what he built." Amara's mind reeled. Everything she believed about her father, her inheritance, her own success, all built on lies and blood. "Why not just kill me like the others?" "Because you're smart, Amara, smarter than your father even. I thought I could recruit you. Use your talents for the organization. That's why I mentored you all these years. But you proved too ethical, too soft. So we went with Plan B, have Danjuma eliminate you while we slowly took control of your company from the inside." "Halima," Amara said, the pieces falling into place. "She's been giving you access to my distribution centers. Your cousin is very pragmatic. Unlike you, she understands that family loyalty is less valuable than wealth." Danjuma moved protectively in front of Amara. "If you hurt her..." "You what?" Chief Emeka's voice dripped contempt. "You're a coward who couldn't even poison his own wife properly. The only reason you're not dead already is because you're still useful." One of the guards pressed a gun to Danjuma's head. "Here's what happens next," Chief Emeka said. "Amara, you've assigned over controlling interest in Okonkwo Pharmaceuticals to a shell company I control. Then you're going to have a tragic accident. A distraught wife, reconcile with her husband, overcome with emotion, perhaps a fall from a balcony." "The EFCC knows everything," Amara interrupted. "They're watching right now." Chief Emeka smiled. "Are they? You mean the agents I've been paying for 15 years? The same ones who've been feeding me information about their investigation? Amara, I've been running criminal operations across West Africa longer than you've been alive. Did you really think I didn't have protection at every level?" Amara's heart sank. If the EFCC agents were corrupted, if Marcus was compromised. "However," Chief Emeka continued, "you've been clever enough to be annoying, so I'm going to offer you a choice. Sign over the company and accept a generous payment to disappear, relocate abroad, never return to Nigeria, live quietly on your millions. or refuse and die here tonight along with your pathetic husband and that Okoro woman in room 300 for who's been asking too many questions. You'd kill 3 people just like that? I've killed 17 women far more valuable than any of you. What's 3 more? Amara's mind raced. She had to believe Marcus and the team were still loyal, still watching. But if they weren't, she made her decision. I'll sign, she said quietly. Amara, no, Danjuma started. Shut up. You don't get a vote. She looked at Chief Emeka. But I need guarantees. Legal documents showing I'm selling voluntarily. Payment secured in escrow. Safe passage out of Nigeria. Reasonable. My lawyers will draw up papers tonight. You'll sign in the morning, receive your payment, and be on a plane to London by noon. And Amara, don't try anything clever. I have people everywhere. Even if you run, even if you hide, I will find you. I understand. Chief Emeka stood, satisfied. Good girl. Your father will be disappointed, but I'm pleased you've inherited his survival instincts at least. After he left, guard stationed outside their door, Amara turned to Danjuma. We need to, he started. Shut up and listen, she whispered, pointing to her earpiece. She kept it hidden, and the cameras the organization had planted wouldn't show such small details. Marcus, tell me you're there. Tell me you got all of that. Nothing. Just static. Then a voice, not Marcus, but Chief Superintendent Adewumi himself. Every word, Mrs. Okonkwo. And you just helped us confirm what we suspected. Chief Emeka Nwankwo has been under investigation by an independent unit for 3 years. We use your operation as bait to make him reveal himself. Relief flooded through her. The corrupted agents? A story we fed him through channels we knew he monitored. He thinks he controls the EFCC. In reality, his contacts have been reporting to us for months. Ngozi Okoro in room 304? Already extracted safely. She was an undercover agent. Amara almost laughed. She'd been so focused on protecting a fellow victim that she hadn't realized the woman was part of the operation. What now? She whispered. Now you sign nothing. At 6 a.m., we raid this facility and 15 other locations simultaneously across 3 countries. We're bringing down the entire network. But we need you to stay in that room until then. Can you do that? What about the other couples here? The real ones? All safe. We've had eyes on everyone. No one else has been harmed. And Halima? She's been our informant for the past week. We offer her a deal. Full cooperation in exchange for witness protection. Every piece of information Chief Emeka shared with her, she shared with us. Amara didn't know whether to be relieved or furious. You used me. We gave you a chance to bring down the people who tried to kill you and murdered 17 other women. You were never in real danger. Every step has been protected. It didn't feel protected. Because if it had, Chief Emeka would have known. I'm sorry for the deception, Mrs. Okonkwo, but it was necessary. Amara looked at Danjuma, who'd been listening to her half of the conversation in confused silence. What happens to him? She asked. That's up to you. He's cooperated fully, provided valuable intelligence. The prosecutor might recommend reduced sentencing. She looked at the man she'd married 8 years ago, the man who'd tried to kill her for money and ego. No deals, she said coldly. He faces full charges. Attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy, all of it. Danjuma's face crumpled. Amara, please. You want to respect? Here it is. I respect you enough to hold you accountable for your choices like an adult. Enjoy prison. The next 6 hours were the longest of Amara's life. She sat by the window, watching the sun rise over Abuja, knowing that across the city, across the continent, arrests were happening. The Brotherhood of Restoration was being dismantled piece by piece. At exactly 6 a.m., the door burst open. Real EFCC agents this time, heavily armed, moving with precision. Mrs. Okonkwo, you're safe. Come with us. As she was escorted out, she saw Chief Emeka in handcuffs, his grandfatherly mask finally shattered, revealing the monster beneath. This isn't over, he snarled as she passed. I know things about your father that will destroy. I don't care, Amara said simply. Whatever my father was, whatever he did, I'm not him. And I'm not you. I built my own empire, and now I'm going to rebuild it the right way. 3 months later, Amara stood at a press conference in her company's headquarters. Around her were 17 photographs, the women who'd been murdered by the Brotherhood of Restoration. Today, I'm announcing the Okonkwo Foundation, she said to the assembled journalists, a 50 billion naira initiative to support widows, single mothers, and female entrepreneurs across West Africa. We will provide legal assistance, financial literacy, and protection services to vulnerable women. She paused, looking at the photographs. These women deserve better. They deserved a world where success didn't make them targets, where wealth didn't paint them as victims, where the men they trusted didn't become their murderers. I can't bring them back, but I can make sure their deaths weren't meaningless. I can build something better from the ashes of what my father started and what evil men corrupted. After the conference, Chioma found her in her office. You did it, her friend said simply. We did it, all of us. What about Danjuma? 20 years. No parole. Halima got witness protection and relocation. Chief Emeka and Dr. Obi got life sentences. The organization is destroyed. And you? Amara looked out at Lagos, the city she loved despite its flaws and dangers. I'm rebuilding, not just a company, but myself, learning to trust again, learning that not every warning sign is paranoia, learning that success doesn't require sacrifice of everything else. And love? Will you try again? Amara smiled slightly. Maybe someday. When I meet someone who sees my success as something to celebrate, not resent. Someone who wants to build with me, not steal from me. Those men exist? They better. Otherwise, I'm perfectly happy running my empire alone. 6 months later, the Okonkwo Foundation had helped 500 women start businesses, provided legal assistance to 200 divorce cases, and established safe houses in 15 cities. Amara still worked long hours, but now she made time for herself, for her friends, for healing. And every morning, she looked at the photograph on her desk, not her father, but the 17 women whose deaths had exposed the evil that operated in shadows. Your deaths meant something, she whispered. I promise. The billionaire lady who'd returned home unexpectedly to find her husband with the maid had become something more, a force for justice, a protector of women, and proof that betrayal could be transformed into purpose. She'd been broken, she'd been betrayed, but she'd survived, fought back, and won. And that was the greatest revenge of all. The end. What an incredible journey from betrayal to justice to redemption. Did Amara's story inspire you? Do you think justice was fully served? Drop your final thoughts in the comments below. If you love this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more powerful African stories of strong women who refuse to be defeated. And most importantly, turn on the notification bell so you can get informed when I drop another amazing stories. Share this video with someone who needs to know they can overcome any betrayal and come out stronger. Comment Queen's Rise if you're inspired by Amara's strength. What story should we tell next? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for joining us on this intense journey. Remember, you are stronger than any betrayal. You are worth more than anyone's deception. And you have the power to transform pain into purpose. Until next time, stay strong, stay aware, and never let anyone dim your light.